Space, the final frontier.
Blue skies smiling at me, nothing but blue skies do I see. Never saw the sun shining so bright, never saw things going so right.
Let's see what's out there. Engage.
Hello and good evening. Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 1, Episode 19, Coming of Age is over, and it has been since 1988. But we're just getting started here in 2024 for Live Long and Podcast live stream review here on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch as we continue our ongoing journey to watch every episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. In this episode, Wesley Crusher takes a Starfleet Academy entrance exam while Admiral Gregory Quinn and Lieutenant Commander Dexter Remick investigate the senior staff of the Enterprise, looking for a conspiracy. We're going to have a great panel here to break down this episode. Once again, coming in first here, we got our captain and first officer from the other night, Star Trek Radio Theater. It's Ashley and Kevin Millard.
Hi.
I flubbed the landing there a little bit on your names.
That's okay. You're doing great.
Thank you.
Landed it like Troy lands the Enterprise.
Exactly. I'm just as good. And of course, the man himself coming off the Orville podcast, as was Kevin last night. It's Adam Woodward.
Hey guys.
Hi.
Hey.
Yeah. I just can't wait to get into this one.
I bet you can't. It's exciting, man. This is an action-packed episode full of so much intrigue, and you never know where it's going. But let's talk about it. Let's get some initial reactions. Adam, I kind of want to start with you. Coming of age. What an episode, eh?
Oh, it was special. I didn't really like it, guys. I'm going to tell you. First of all, I don't understand. Actually, you know what I liked? I liked the Wesley story.
Yes.
But I didn't like Chase from Young and the Restless. But I liked it all. I liked the Wesley story.
Wait, who's Chase from Young and the Restless?
He's his friend.
Oh,
I kept calling him Chase, and then Callie goes, "His name's not Chase. It's something else." And
Mordock?
No, not Mordock.
No, he's the one that
On the
didn't
On the
ship.
ship. The one that stole the ship.
Oh, Kurland.
Kirtland.
Joel.
Jake
Kurland.
Kurland. Stephen Gregory?
That's right.
Stephen Gregory. That's the guy.
Okay, I didn't know he was on Young and the Restless.
Yeah, I was trying. Yeah, that's where I too watched Young and the Restless in my younger days, and that's where he's from. But I didn't like this episode. There's too many questions. It didn't make any sense. Zero sense. It left me hanging with not in a good way, very unsatisfied way. And I know what happens later.
Well, there's a little ditty about Jack and Diane, two American kids growing up in the heartland. Adam, do you know about that Young and the Restless reference?
No, I do.
Yeah, I'm a little up to speed on my Jack and Diane thanks to Jane and her recent Young and the Restless education. Guess what? Diane, she came back to life and she was back on the show.
Of course she was. And Victor
everyone thought she was dead.
alive.
They all thought she was dead, and she wasn't. Let's go over to Ashley next. Ashley, what did you think of Coming of Age?
I like this episode. I always have. I've liked this episode since I saw it as a kid, and I still do. I still enjoyed watching it.
Oh, Gavin Skellhorn coming in to crash the party. I thought you had a X-Men podcast.
Oh, well, you know how we disgusting melanoid slime worm.
Yes, I am Rondon, you disgusting Velaton. Or how does it go?
How dare you? I am
That's so good on landings today, Dave.
melanoid slime one.
I don't have.
Romden. Oh, I almost want to change my name to Romden just so I can.
I
say
am
that.
Rondon, assaulted. That's my favorite. Well, okay. No, my favorite part of the episode actually might be the Worf and Wesley scene on the holodeck. It's not bad. So good early Worf scene.
But still the Wesley story.
Still a Wesley story, yes. The other, we'll get to the other story. I've always thought of this as like when I watched this as a kid, I don't even remember the Remick story at all. Like it just completely was out of my mind. And all
That's
this.
The best part.
Well, it's a build up to a great episode in Conspiracy, so I like that they're setting it up.
You keep talking about this Conspiracy episode as the best episode. It's not that good.
No, that's why I want to be on that one. Because it's not good.
I think we all have to be on that one.
I love it though.
But why?
It's just legendary.
There's just something about it.
That scene where they bring out the food and then they all start eating the bugs. That's like amazing.
Yeah, but they did nothing more with it. That means it sucked.
They didn't need to. Riker Picard saved the day.
And he just explodes. It's awesome. What great Star Trek.
It sucks.
Those aliens got the message at the end of that galaxy and thought, we don't want none of that smoke.
Right.
Yeah, and the worst part of it. The worst part of it is it's not the season finale.
No.
The next episode is, and it sucks.
It's awful. It's awful.
Is it?
Absolutely.
No, I really remember like Mark Alimo, the Romulan, like with a great speech at the end.
Not of that episode. No.
It's not the same episode?
No, it's the one where like there's the old banker and the cowboy.
Yeah.
Let's get some the old pit whoopee.
Is that the casino?
Get ourselves a low mileage pit whoopee.
No, they were the ones that
it's
were
that
like,
one.
They found that were
cryogenically
frozen.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great episode.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Oh,
no.
I do like that episode.
Conspiracy's 100 times better than that episode.
But let's back to the subject at hand here, coming of age.
But this is the subject at hand, and
more than Young and the rest of us
is that they start down this path of like there's corruption in the go figure in Starfleet, but we don't learn anything more than we knew at the beginning.
It was supposed to be part of a trilogy, but the writers' strike stopped it.
Well, thanks, Sam. That makes me feel better about that, but not really.
Yeah. How was the wedding, Gavin?
Oh, it was fun. Just a little dinner, couple of drinks in a winery, that type of thing. 6-course meal, that type of thing.
Oh, 6
You know what? Can we go back to this episode for a second? What makes me upset about it is that if there's so much damn corruption in Starfleet, which there always is, we have problems. I think that the whole illusion I've had about Starfleet being such a benevolent organization is not true. And from that, I feel very disheartened. I'm gonna tell you.
Well, Adam, take a look at the list and maybe choose wisely for Class L probes on Sunday. I think we can talk about that.
Yeah, like I think if you want to be kind about it, I think that Starfleet at least has some issues, like questionable management at times, questionable decisions. It's always presented that the admirals are out of touch with what the frontline officers are really doing out there. In the field, out on the ships, and
they have their own agendas, and they got
their own agendas. They're political, and that's kind of talked about a little bit.
The thing is, Dave's favorite movie is The Federation President. I mean, to me, it's not great.
You mean Dave Huxley or me?
No, you.
My favorite movie is
that was The Federation President. You get it.
As in the American President. The American President is also not my favorite movie, but a movie I like a lot. Yes, I like politics and stuff, but Picard does not. You know about that. Me about whatever. Like Gregory, I don't want to be an admiral. I can serve you better out here in the field. This Picard is offered an admiral's promotion.
I need you close.
But
he just doesn't want to take an admiral promotion, so he doesn't have to go to the banquet.
True.
The admiral's banquet.
He's managed to avoid it for 6 years.
Right.
Well, at this point, 1.
It's only 5 courses.
I love how they had like a goodbye dinner for Admiral Quinn, and we don't even get to see it as well.
Yeah.
Is there kind of a time jump after that? Wesley Crusher does not put on a dress uniform. And I was curious to be.
We don't know.
He didn't even make the academy.
But he wears that
dress uniform for him.
Isn't his striped colored shirt kind of a uniform?
That's his like acting.
No, that's
right?
just some shit out of his closet.
I think
Is it an acting ensign's shirt?
His acting ensigns.
Well, why did it?
That's why it has all colors of the of the divisions.
Right.
Why isn't Murdoch on Nova Squad instead of Wesley? He's better.
He's a year ahead of him. I don't know.
Is he better though?
Maybe he was, and theirs didn't crash. We'll never know.
Okay, so there's another big problem with this episode. Okay, so how many people get into Starfleet every year?
I was just
what is a good
Apparently
question?
5 or 6, even though they go through soldiers
planet.
like that.
So it's like this is like the feeder school, and they can only send one from this. He literally said,
that's true.
Okay,
I say it.
One
like sector.
You have an organization that's expanding, and you need Starfleet. Like I like, you know what I liked? I liked the Orville when they talked about how they needed like thousands of captains or whatever, because it made sense. You got to like they're dying all the time.
How many professors do they have? Class sizes.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. You explained to those teachers why their class went to 20 students to 40.
We have figured out why there are never any ships near Earth, because they don't have any staff. Because they let one person into Starfleet a year.
One person from that planet.
He says at the beginning, you all would be worthy applicants. Well, then fucking take them all.
I would say there was four people there. So like 1 in 4 that apply get in is a hefty number.
Yeah, but okay.
They're applying from all over the galaxy.
Explain this, Ashley. I don't understand then how Tasha got in and Worf got in and Barclay got in.
Maybe the competition on their planets wasn't as extensive.
Or it was like a percentage, right? Like Earth gets more applicants in than this tiny little planet.
So the trick is to go out as far as you can and then apply.
There might be some affirmative action here, and that they wanted a Benzite officer.
If it's 1 in 4 and they have 4 people that apply on this planet, but Earth has 200 people apply, then they're getting 50 people in.
Oh, I know. I mean, I was when I was reading the autobiography of Picard, and they were saying that it's so competitive to get in. Get it? I understand.
Yeah, Picard failed his first time.
Also, though, like, can Wesley be one of the humans rather than on this other planet? Like, he's already flying your flagship.
Yeah, well, if you think about in the United States military, if you want to compare a similar structure, like they have the Annapolis Naval Academy, and that's where all like the Navy and Marine officers go, right? And like the Army and the Air Force guys, I think, go to West Point, and there's only so many spots, and that's the only place that you can go. Now, I think it would probably make more sense, like have more Starfleet academies, have more campuses, maybe, because they have a lot of ships and they need a lot of officers. But I don't know. There's also like hundreds of planets in this Federation, billions, if not trillions, of people who might want these spots. So I guess it is like that competitive. And I just the system of like, okay, this particular planet has 4 applicants, 4 candidates, and only one can go, is a little unusual. It's usually like my understanding of most academic schools is that they just take the top applicants no matter where they're from. But, maybe they want a certain representation across space and sectors, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing either.
I wish like
Davin, we can't hear you.
We can't hear you, Davin.
I think he's meaning to leave.
I think
okay.
Bye.
Bye.
But these are like, this is a really interesting question because, later on we get to Best of Both Worlds and the Battle of Wolf 5359, and they lost so many ships and so many people. Like, what happens then?
You think you need like a massive recruitment, but you also have lost a ton of ships and personnel. Usually in times of war, like you even see conscription or draft kind of come, and it's hard to imagine Starfleet doing that. But if they had a strong enough need, I don't know. Or in like the time of the Klingon War, we saw that like in Star Trek Discovery that Stamets wasn't in Starfleet at all, right? He was just like a scientist who developed this mycelial technology, and because there's a war, they put him into Starfleet, and not necessarily completely by his choice. So that take that for what it is too, and how all of these people get in. Well, do you want to run through this?
Sure.
I don't know if I got Kevin's take on the episode. Do you like this episode?
Yeah, I like it, but I think it's mostly nostalgia. This played in reruns a lot. This episode I've seen a lot of times.
Yeah, me too.
And you're right though. I'm the same. I didn't remember the Remick stuff in this episode. I don't remember these two episodes being together.
I don't remember. Yeah, I was like, this is the same episode, and then okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I really remember Mordok. He's like super memorable,
Yeah.
for me and all that. All right, let's run through it. It won't take us long. The plot in both stories is very simple. So we'll start off here where we meet the Young and the Restless star Stephen Gregory playing Jake Kurland here. He looks a little sad or pensive at least, as Wesley's chasing him down the corridor, saying, "I'm sorry, Jake, it's I feel bad about it," right? He's like, "It's okay, Wesley, you deserve it." So Wesley is, I guess we're led to believe, is going to get to apply to the academy, but Jake's marks weren't quite there or something.
So forget not everyone getting into Starfleet Academy. Not everyone even gets to go and apply for Starfleet Academy.
Right.
He didn't even qualify for that.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
Well, he's a bit of a dummy. He couldn't even
Yeah.
fly the ship 3 seconds without totally fucking it up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Mr. Kurland here, but he thanks Wesley and he kind of goes off. But we see here that him not getting in, you can see he's a little upset. We'll come back to him later. We got to jump here, and then so as Wesley is going off, gets a handshake from Picard, gets a hug from Mom, and he's off to take the test.
His mom
Meanwhile,
tried to shake his hand first. Did you notice that?
He did. His mom did try to shake his hand, yeah. But
And she called him to the transfer room. He called her doctor, which I thought was
Because they play it more professional while they're on duty.
all right. I like how they brought it down Tasha just to be the transporter operator for this one scene. That was nice.
I was surprised to find out there were 8 transporter rooms at least.
Yeah.
Oh, if not more. Like the ship has some. I was looking at my Enterprise model this morning, and you can see all like the transporter emitters that are like spread out throughout like the ship. There's a lot in the saucer section alone. There's 8. So there's probably like a few down in the drive section as well. Plus like the cargo room transporters and stuff.
Why do you need so many?
To transport shit.
I think mostly for emergency evacuations,
But,
that
like,
kind of stuff.
So I guess, because I'm gonna say it's so fast. It's not like they could just be like, just wait 15 seconds and then it's your turn to go.
Yeah,
to the
true.
transport.
Or you don't even technically have to be on the pad to be transported either, right?
when we were watching the Orville for last night's episode, I was when we were talking about or watching Mercer and Janelle go down to the planet.
Yeah.
And I was thinking this is really, you really need transporters, and this is like a great whoever came up with this, I guess Roddenberry, smart.
It was the original series people.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then as Wesley's beaming out, in come Admiral Quinn and Lieutenant Commander Remick. Smiley here. They're looking quite official. We got our second Badmiral, but he's kind of a good admiral, but he will be bad once he gets taken over by the bug.
I think he's already taken over.
Well, that's a theory. I thought he had.
I like that theory. Actually,
I think he is, and Remick's not yet.
And Remick's not. Okay. Well, I can't dispute it. Like it's hard to know for sure, but so after they have their introductions and whatever, the Admiral's like, "I need to talk to you alone," and he's like, "Well, I'll bring Riker then." He's like, "No, just you." And Crusher,
but
Crusher
why does he need?
Yeah, Crusher finds it amusing, if anything.
Yeah.
Why does he need to talk to him? He doesn't tell him anything.
Doesn't tell him anything.
Nothing,
And then this is Riker's look at the end of the teaser. Confused.
Riker hasn't said anything. He came down to the room to say goodbye to Wesley, didn't say a thing, and now he's saying nothing here.
But he gives looks.
Looks.
This man, he emotes. That's acting, man.
Oh yeah, he's got amazing face acting.
Oh, we got.
Wait till you watch him go over this chair
there's
later
so
on.
many great Riker moments in this one.
All right, coming of age, our title, as we're in the turbolift, the Admiral, Remick, is it Remick or Reddick? And Picard, Remick. I also noticed as they're getting off the turbolift here, you can see, I think that the view screen is just a sheet with some dots on it. I don't think they were
It probably
great at
was.
all. Yeah.
That's the ship uniform.
Yeah, exactly. I just caught that as we were going by. Anyway, so then basically Quinn tells Picard, Remick.
Yep.
Remick. He's with internal investigations or the Department of something or other. I don't know, like investigations, internal investigations. Let's call it that. And Picard's
It never comes up again.
No, this department has never come back into play since.
No.
But Remick is apparently one of these guys. I guess they're kind of like the cops, internal military,
Internal
police.
affairs. Yeah.
Yeah, internal affairs people. So Picard's a little, on guard naturally, and Quinn's like, "You will do everything to cooperate with the investigation." That's that. Is that he's like, that's okay. And then after Remick leaves, he's like, "Hey man, we've been friends for a long time. What's this about?" He's like, "I can't say. I'll be staying on the ship. See you later." And that's that. That's the end of that scene. Okay. Then we pivot over to the Wesley storyline down here on the planet, down at this base. I kept looking at this little purple Starfleet insignia. I don't know. I was fixated by it as it showed this exterior. As Wesley's examining some kind of a big calculator, it appears.
My dad used to have one like that. What was that company out of Texas? Texas Instruments.
Texas Instruments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Texas.
All right, it looks like he has one of those. Then we meet one of the other Academy hopefuls here. Trying to remember her name, Alana. And Wesley seems to be smitten with her, and maybe her with him. She's like heard all about him. He's a little.
You're cute, Wesley.
You're cute. Am I? Is that a good thing? I don't know. But then we meet this other candidate. One's a Vulcan, Tashanik, and of course Mordock, as played by John Putch, as the first Benzite we ever see here in the show. The Mordock, who did some kind of a thing already in his life. Wesley's quite impressed to meet him. I love that this species design, this makeup design. I love this idea of like the breathing apparatus. It's so different than.
I think it's why I remember Mordock. It's the best aliens I think we've seen thus far.
Yeah. The Benzites are just like they're kind of like this weird aquatic species, and we don't see enough of that. And a lot of fun. I like that they bring not him back, but like another member of his, like a cousin of his, basically in the next season, right?
He's much more interesting than this guy.
Yeah.
And doesn't Wesley mistake him?
Yeah, he does. He calls him that. He goes, "It's not me, but we do look alike."
We all
look alike.
He's like, all members of our family group basically have the exact same appearance. He's like, "How do you tell each other apart?" He's like, "We just do." So, okay. Then we meet Lieutenant Chang. Lieutenant Chang is played by Robert Ito. He's kind of like the over supervisor, I guess, of these tests.
He's Harry Kim's dad.
He's Harry Kim's dad.
Yeah.
Could be.
No,
what,
he
in
is.
real?
No, like in Voyager, this actor plays Harry Kim's dad.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm theorizing that he's a descendant of Julie Chen Moonves from Big Brother, because he says,
"Expect the unexpected."
Expect the unexpected.
Okay.
Crickets. Well,
yeah, we all totally get that reference.
Jaemeel was supposed to be on this panel tonight.
You saved that line for Jaemeel, then, right? Is that what
Gavin stole him to this X-Men podcast?
Why don't you just jump in and just say that to Davin or to Jaemeel? You might feel better.
See, Sam's happy.
Well, that's why we're all here.
Oh, okay.
He gets that reference. There we go. Thank you, Sam. All right, so we're gonna get into it. They start taking the test, and then we go back to the Enterprise for the other storyline. So Lieutenant Commander Remick, he's kind of looking over Data's shoulder here as he works on the bridge, and he's like, "What's up, Remick, Commander?" He's like, "You just keep doing what you're doing," and he's just kind of being like an annoying.
Yeah, he's a dick, sure.
Yeah.
But I think they're being a little standoffish with him for no fucking reason. Like they're being a bit dickish too, a little defensive right off the bat.
Right. Well, you see this in a lot of stuff where internal affairs is kind of profiled in certain shows, especially cop shows, where they're like, well, we would never do, no cop is really
You
bad.
turn on your own.
You never turn on your own. You don't rat on your own. It's part of the reason there's been some corruption in the police over time. But he's just following his orders, and they should know that. Like, it's not really his choice here. But anyway, they're all going. Riker kind of not happy. Riker standing over his shoulder at one point.
Oh, yeah. I love how Riker always did. I think this is the real Riker maneuver. He was always standing this close to people, just off a little, like just standing right there, just giving him a smile, just give him a cocky little smile.
It's like when you look over your shoulder and there's this big guy there.
Yeah. And he does it all the way through. I absolutely love it. Makes me laugh every time.
It's like his height is like his weapon or something,
Yeah.
He just
He just loves to stand really close to people.
That's true. And then as Remick is moving off, Geordi says, "What's going on, Commander?" He's like, "I don't know, but I'm gonna find out." So right now. So Picard just sitting in his ready room, staring at the wall. Riker suddenly appears. I deleted the slide where he walked in, so it's just seems like he appears.
Transport.
I love that though.
Yeah, he just likes to stand close to you. Okay, now this was my favorite part. He was like, "Captain, I'm supposed to know everything that you know, right?" He's like, "Of course, number one. What else could it be?"
Captain, may I speak frankly? As first officer, I should be informed. I should know everything that you know.
He's like, "Quite right, you should." So then, no, this is not where Riker does it. But when he has the scene later on with Remick here, he like walks over the chair.
Yeah, he does that Riker maneuver, but the aggressive,
I love.
It's not casual;
Riker.
it's aggressive.
Yeah,
it's an aggressive sit down.
He's trying to intimidate him.
Yeah, but he does it here, and he's like, Picard's like, "I don't know anything more than you do, and so I guess we're on even footing. So your statement is correct." And Riker ends up walking out. Now he said he was going to get some answers, but he lied to Geordi, didn't he? He's not. And then as he's going to the turbolift, I guess off duty, Remick's like, "I want to talk to you, Commander." He's like, "Not now. I have duties to look after or whatever, or attend to." And Remick is just like, "Huh? Okay." And then the rest of them kind of look at him, and it's a little awkward. So they're all upset about this whole thing. Okay, back to the planet, back to the Wesley storyline. As they're taking their test, it's like a trick question. They're like, if you had to get home on a warp 4, what would the matter antimatter ratio mix be if you needed to get home? But they're like, it's a trick question. You always want the matter and antimatter to be at a 1-to-1 ratio. Correct, as the Spock computer would say.
If a train leaves Saskatchewan and one leaves Alberta, oh my gosh.
At 50 miles per hour and another leaves at 40 miles per hour, what will they hit? Now, did the girl here, did she not?
No, we knew at this point she's not going to be selected.
She's maybe not the top of the class here. She seems a little, I didn't get it. And so she's a little let down by this particular set of the tests. But then she does tell Wesley that he's cute, good and annoying. First, she says he's annoying. It's a good thing you're so cute because you're so annoying with that brain of yours. And then he's like, Murdoch, she thinks I'm cute. And he's like, that's good. And he's like, I think so, or I don't know. And all of that. So anyway, a couple of, I don't know. I think it does something to kind of establish Murdoch and Wesley as kind of besties. Like if they had been at the academy together, they'd be friends, right?
He's such a little Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Remember that Christmas special where he finds out that Clarice likes him, She likes me.
Right.
Yeah. She said I'm cute. Literally the exact same line.
Yes. And then he started flying,
Yeah, and he started flying. Yeah, I thought the exact same thing. It reminded me of that immediately.
Good. Yeah, well, I completely agree now that you bring it up. All right. So then right back to the Enterprise, Riker and Picard, and then Remek's like, "Can we talk now, Commander?" He's like, "I'm ready. We can talk." Which Picard is amused by or whatever here. Couple of looks here. Okay, Remek. These faces on Riker in this episode are amazing. Anyway, can I use the ready room? You may. Riker starts off this meeting just standing
Superman
pose, and he's like,
Power pose.
If you want to stand for this whole briefing, that's up to you, Commander. And then this is the maneuver. Bring on it. Boom. Boom. And he never breaks eye contact.
Look at how close he is to his face.
Never break eye contact either. That's the power move.
Yeah, exactly. And then finally the landing. You know,
he's leaning right in, eh?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
There's that's a sit down right there. And then he's like, "Tell me about Captain Picard's logs." And then this is kind of where Riker figures out that Remek is investigating Picard specifically. He's like, "Yeah, just ask Captain Picard if you want to know what's going on in the logs, right?" He's like, "I asked you, Riker. I want to know." And he's like, and then so now that Riker knows what he's after, he's like, "Whatever. I got nothing to hide." But also, I'm not gonna aid you in this effort, I guess. Then we kind of get like a bunch of different cuts here where Remek is kind of going around, starting off here with Geordi and engineering coming down this elevator that they use sometimes. And he's like, so talking about the episode where they got pulled out to the edge of the galaxy with the Traveler and all that, where no one has gone before. And he's like, well, so didn't Picard technically get the ship over to the Traveler and get it lost? He's like, well, technically, Geordi says. But, it didn't quite happen like that. He's like, well, a simple yes will do. I'll put that on the official record, LaForge. He's like, and then he's grilling Troy next in the ready room about, I think it was the Stargazer incident, when he was being mind controlled by the Ferengi. And she was like, well, he didn't know about this. And he's like, well, that's a breach, shows a lack of, I think Remek's just grasping at straws because he doesn't know what the hell he's looking for.
I wish I could remember what his actual line was here, but it was a foreshadowing to him, because he says, when she says he was being mind controlled and didn't know, and he was like, it's no excuse.
Sounds cognitively compromised.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
And I was like, "Oh, you're looking down on him for that, but it's happening to you soon. Give it a couple episodes."
True, that's foreshadow. This is a trope they put in a lot of these kind of episodes where there's kind of this internal investigator investigating the heroes. You see this in different TV shows. And what are you writing? What are you writing there? She's like, "Are you writing? Are you writing something bad down? I hope that doesn't come back to bite me." That's kind of the trope we get here. Then we get this scene here in the holodeck, back to the Wesley storyline, where Wesley's kind of, staring at the blank ceiling, I guess, and just hanging out. And then Worf shows up, ready to bust some heads, presumably in his training program. But he notices Wesley's here, and he's like, "I'm disturbing you. I'll leave." He's like, "No, tell me. I'm just so nervous about the psych test." He's like, "You are? It's no more important than the rest of the tests." He's like, "I know, but Ken, a little afraid of what they'll do." He's like, "How will they know what I'm afraid of?" He's like, they'll look at your psychological profile, And then he says they knew everyone he applied with. They knew all of their fears. How could you be afraid of anything? Wesley says, Wesley kind of talks about how he can't stop thinking about what's going to happen on the test. And this is maybe one of my favorite Worf lines ever.
Thinking about what you can't control only wastes energy and creates its own enemy.
Creates its own enemy. Think about you.
It's good. He says, only a fool has no fear.
Only fools have no fear.
Yeah. So he's like, you got to face it. You got to be ready. Don't overthink it, and go into it. I was like, only advice he can really give, right? You know, and so Worf, I think
advice we should all freaking take too. I mean, that's a great line.
Yeah, creates its own enemy, right? So you know, I don't remember Worf and Wesley having much interaction up until this point in the show, so it's kind of a nice moment between them.
I think up until now he's called him the boy.
The boy. What about the boy? Right. Then we have a scene on the bridge here where Riker and Picard are discussing the finer points of cargo management, and that they can get like in space.
That's
saving.
part of the episode,
right? Riker's like, well, if we move this and this around, we can take up 3 bulky machines out of our cargo room. He's like, that's excellent, number one, excellent.
Picard is so into it.
Yeah. Like, what? That like promote this guy again if you can. You know. Anyway, but then just at that moment, a shuttle has been unauthorized or like being launched unauthorized, and Remig's like, what's going on, Picard? You're letting a shuttle get out of here? And Remig's like all over him the whole time, like everything that's going on. Every couple minutes, he's like, you suck, Picard. You suck at this, don't you?
Yeah, I don't feel like his current job gives him the authority to be in the middle of this situation.
No, right. It doesn't. I mean, he's a little overzealous. We see a shuttle is being taken out here. Now, I'm sure we all thought about, why don't you just beam this kid out? Why don't you put the ship in a tractor beam? There's a million things you could do, right?
Why don't you lock up the shuttles?
Yeah. But nothing seems to work for whatever reason. So take that for what it is. As young Kurland here, the boy who didn't get into the academy,
join the circus. No.
But he's like, you could tell him yourself when you come back. Why don't you fly that shuttle back into the bay?
Well, they do a lot of this, you know, disappointing dad trope too on this.
Yeah.
As they can't do anything, the tractor beam won't work. He's now going into the planet, and he's about to crash the ship. It goes very bad here for young Kurland very quickly, and I think everyone's like looking around like this kid's, and then Remig says to Picard, you have to save him. It's your job to save him. What are you doing? Picard's like, you get out of my way or I'll have you removed from the bridge. I'm like, that was somewhat restrained, Picard, for this whole situation, but okay. So he gets out of Picard's way, and then Picard has a kind of dad moment here where he kind of like talks Kurland through how to like get the shuttle home, right? He's like, fly it right into the atmosphere. You know? And it was like, that sounds crazy. Like, that will never work. He's like, do it. Fly it right in, because apparently my ship can't do anything. It has no tractor beams. It has no transporters. There's no way we can save you.
There's no way I could move this ship closer to you.
They actually said he was at a transporter range, and we all know that's not true.
No,
not true at all. They can
transport
transport to the planet.
Right, you beam down and up from the planet all the time. Like it's crazy talk, but you know. Anyway, that's what we're told.
The tractor beams are being installed next Tuesday.
This whole part was stupid and useless.
Right.
Yeah,
well, it's
unnecessary to the story.
Picard says, "Fly it into the atmosphere." Everyone, like any pilot, or at least one other pilot on this bridge, should kind of have an idea what Picard's doing.
Well, Riker's supposed to be the best pilot in Starfleet.
True, and Geordi is at the helm, so also a pilot. But you know, anyway, so he flies it down, but there's like a he bounces off the atmosphere, and Remix, with the fist here.
Oh, that was great.
Just hoping he'd knock himself out.
Oh my god, that was absolutely
cringe.
They're cheering on the bridge, fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, he's so happy.
This is the first time he smiled, by the way.
Yeah, he's so happy. Well, he tells Picard he wants to serve here by the end, right? You know, this is where they won him over. He's like, that was great, Picard. You did so good. He's like, yeah, whatever. And then he's like, Kurland, fly the ship home already. You know. And then he's like, well, how did he steal that shuttle in the first place? You know, you run a pretty lax ship around here.
Sorry to say that's actually a good question.
Yeah, maybe we're worried too much about how many big machines you have in the shuttle bay, and you actually
You're gonna have lots of room to put more bins with one less shuttle.
right. Riker's like ready to like fight him here, right? Picard has to like call him off. Anyway, back to Wesley and the planet. As they're getting ready for their psych tests, I guess. Oh no, this is before the psych test. This is where Wesley and Mordok, is that his name? They run into Zaldin, our guy from earlier. God, I gotta play the clip again.
How dare you? I'm Rondon, you despicable melanoid slime one. Liar!
A melanoid slime worm is the same as Murph, by the way, from Star Trek Prodigy. That gets played out here. But Wesley kind of explains to us that Zaldins are infuriated by courtesy.
Zaldins are infuriated by courtesy. They view it as a form of phony social behavior designed to cover true feelings.
As we can tell by the webbed hands of the Zaldin. Also, the Zaldin has no rank insignia whatsoever, so I guess he's an enlisted crew member. As this was, I guess, another test for the Academy to see how Wesley would react. And Wesley, knowing this about his culture, gets right up in his face, like, you are the jerk. You are the one who are the ball lickers, he says
and
to him.
Delivers a great line. Do you want this to become violent?
Yeah. Well, Rondon is very impressed by the young Wesley. He's like, I like you, human. We may be friends now. I like this idea of a species who's infuriated by courtesy. I need a Zaldin character.
Why they would ever go into Starfleet? It makes no sense. Starfleet is like the home of common courtesy.
True.
Yeah. So what happens when he meets the captain? Like, is he
just fly off the handle? Probably.
Yeah.
He just gets really furious, but he goes with it. Maybe. Anyway, so he's out of there, and this is where Wesley explains the whole thing about the Zaldins, and Mordok says, "I wouldn't have got that one. That was not that was not something I would have done." So back to the ship, and more of Remick interrogating officers. Now Data. This is where we go from one cut to the next. It starts here with Data. Data's like, "Why don't you just look at the logs yourself, Remick?" And then and then he's talking to Worf, and Worf's like, I got nothing for you. He's like, you don't like me, do you? He's like, is it a requirement?
That's
yeah, is that required, sir?
That's the best answer to that question.
Yeah.
Is it required?
Then with Beverly here, he's like, this is a safe space. You can be honest with me, Dr. Crusher. Are you mad, Picard, for getting your husband killed? To which she does not react well to that question, and says it's none of his business. Before kind of walking out on him, and then finally Picard and Remick themselves, where they kind of go back and forth here until Picard's had enough of this charade.
This charade has gone on long enough.
Long enough. That's the only thing he's guilty of.
The only thing I'm guilty of is allowing this charade to go on so long.
The charade. I love the way Picard says charade, schedule, and other such words. Anyway, so he's had enough of this. Remick is done, and then Picard goes to see Admiral Quinn, who's like, I've had enough.
This has put a strain on our friendship.
This has put a strain on harsh words.
Harsh words.
Coming here from Picard. This has put a strain on our friendship. As he's like, I know, but I had to be sure.
Had to be sure of what?
That I don't know. It doesn't really cover
anything. He's not in on the conspiracy.
Right.
He says it. He says, I had to make sure that you haven't been,
What conspiracy? I can't tell you. I can't tell you.
What conspiracy? I can't tell you. There's too much to it.
He's not quite sure yet.
Yet.
But I think he is sure, because I think he's already being controlled, and he's trying to get Picard over closer to them to get Picard to get one of those things into Picard.
Maybe, but you think he would have just done it in this episode? But I don't know. Anyway,
but it would be harder to get him off the ship. Like, why would Picard? You know what I mean? Like, I suppose they could have put something into him, and then he could have taken the position. But
Yeah.
Maybe they don't. Maybe he doesn't have one of them with him.
I would really love to know if there's a definitive answer to whether or not Quinn and or Remick are infected or not at this point. But I guess I don't know. Maybe the fun facts will give us some answers.
I don't think Remick is, because if he was, he wouldn't have asked to serve on the ship in 6 months.
Right, and he wouldn't have cheered, I think, for that kid, and
Right.
whatever. So, okay, back to the planet here, where they're taking another test. Wesley and the crew, dynamics relationships test. I don't understand what it was, but Mordok was having a hard time. He was going too fast. He couldn't figure it out. Wesley has to coach him through it. He says, "You can do it, Mordok. You can do it." And he's like, "Just do." And he's like, "Oh yeah, Wesley, I got it. Do. Done." And then Wesley gets it 10 seconds later. And apparently, Mordok, for a guy who couldn't do it, he got the second highest time ever. Okay.
You need Wesley to talk you through things.
Right. Well, that's what's good here. And Mordok's like, "Well, I shouldn't get the credit." And Wesley helped me. He's like, "Yeah, we know. We were watching, and we'll take that under advisement." He tells them, and that's that. Right. Back to the Enterprise, and more of Admiral Quinn and Captain Picard as Remick shows up to give his report. He's like, "Give his report," and he's like, "Couldn't find anything, Admiral. There's nothing going on here."
They just love each other. This is a family.
This is just, they really like each other. Okay, well, thanks. And then this is where he's like, "Hey, Captain, I would love to, come serve on this ship when I'm done here in internal investigations." The look from Picard is like, okay,
Yeah, Picard's look is worth the cringy moment. Remick is so awful here.
Yeah.
I hate this scene until Picard's face when he turns right at him too. No.
He's like, He's like, "Well, okay, well, never mind. Okay, see you later." Yeah. So then he leaves. He's like, "Don't judge him too harshly." He's like, "I don't. I judge you, Admiral."
I don't judge him. I just don't want him here.
And this is where the Admiral comes clean, sort of, that there's a conspiracy, that something's going on to destroy the entire Federation, but he doesn't know really anything, gives no specifics.
But there always is.
Yeah, there
There always is something trying to destroy the Federation.
Well, they're true. And so he wants Picard to accept a promotion to Admiral, go be the Commandant of Starfleet Academy, which Picard is not completely rejecting outright. He's kind of taken with the offer a little bit, but
he'd never take it.
Yeah, but
that's what he ended up with in Picard. Didn't he run the Academy for a while?
He was the Chancellor, so he's more like less of a day-to-day operations guy, more of a figurehead kind of position, So anyway, they start getting into it, but Picard's like, "I'll give you an answer tonight." And then down on the planet, Wesley's waiting for his psychological evaluation. I like how Lieutenant Chang says, "We don't like to call it a psych test. We like to call it a psychological evaluation." And then he says, "We're ready for your psych test, Wesley."
Thing, just more letters.
I know. But we don't like to psych you out with the psych test until we do.
Only that's the whole purpose of it.
Yeah, literally.
That is the whole purpose. So we see Mordok coming out of his, and his hands are shaking and trembling. Wonder what he went through. And he says, "Okay, Wesley, now it's your turn." Okay. And it starts off with Wesley just in a room with a chair. But a little short time later, the door opens up.
But wait, he's talking to himself. It's okay. It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
Why is the name plaque for what room they're in on the inside of the room?
It shouldn't be. You're right.
Make any sense? It should be on the outside so that people. Right. I think if you're in the room, you know what room you're in.
I wouldn't.
Okay, it's for Kevin.
It's for Kevin. What room is this? Oh, okay, good. This is the psych test room. All right, good to know.
I forgot what I was doing here.
So here's some banging, some explosions in the environmental lab we're talking about here.
So did you guys feel like there's anything wrong with this? The psych test starts now, goes into a room,
and then
and then an explosion happens. Like, Wesley, come on, you're smarter than this.
There's no part
Yeah.
that is suspicious of this at all. No.
Did he should have figured this out?
The psych test should be just put on them, like, you know, sit down for another test and something happens, like, and they, you know, but anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe it'd been more interesting if if this was real and this, you know, and then he thinks it. Oh, you're just a psych test, aren't you? And then someone actually dies.
That was a real explosion. You're a hero. You don't get into Starfleet Academy, though.
Yeah, sorry.
Now get back to our flagship, bridge officer.
Yeah. This is one of the rare, talking about uniforms, guys. This is one of the rare examples of people wearing red command division jumpsuits, engineering style jumpsuits. I don't see those. You see the yellow version all the time, but not the red one. And so anyway, there's one guy who's seemingly has his legs crushed. One guy who's too afraid to cross the room. He's too scared. And Wesley's like, I have to try to save this guy. This guy who's so scared. You know, does a pretty convincing job. As Wesley's like, I have to drag this guy away. Why don't you just walk across the room? I'm too scared to do. Okay, man. I'm not gonna be able to save you. I'm sorry. And he's like, you gotta get back in there and save him. He's like, Wesley, that was the test. I told you to expect the unexpected.
But it was expected.
Well, not to him. Because that's how they wrote it. As they come out of the test here, shaking his head, saying, thanks, Wes. I love the guy who was too scared, the look he gives here. Mm-hmm. Thanks for not trying to save me.
You're just gonna let me die.
Yeah. I'd love to serve with you one day. Anyway. So
he passes that test right away, and it took Troy how many tries when she was doing her bridge officer's test to send LaForge off to his death?
Yeah, what's kind of like interesting to me too is like for like someone like Deanna, right, who already had degrees, like went to, you know, psychiatry school or psychology school or whatever. Like, did she go to the academy? Would she have gone through this test, you know, or would she have just been sort of commissioned into the service, having already?
She would have had a different test than this. They're all different.
Yeah. Well, yeah, all the psych tests are different.
But
yes,
if Wesley had been on the ship when she was taking her bridge officers, he might have been like, "Hey, you got to let someone die."
Yeah, we need an extra.
I wonder though if, you know, Commander Riker was in there and his mother.
Right.
You know,
because his fear was not being able to save everyone. Like that was his greatest fear from his psych test.
His greatest fear was not being able to make that choice.
And he did make the choice.
And he did make the choice.
So he technically passed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this his Kobayashi Maru? Not quite, but kind of. You know, there was kind of like you have to make a tough decision, I guess, is like the ultimate purpose of this test. You know, can you go past that? And he does. So back to Picard, who then meets up with Riker and says, guess what, Riker? It's all good. The investigation was about me, but it's over. And they've offered me Commandant of Starfleet Academy. Riker's thrilled.
Yeah, because he gets the shit.
Exactly.
I just got promoted, didn't I? You know?
When do you leave?
There you go. He's like, no, there's a guy Jellicoe coming in. I'm going to tell you all about him. But you know, but Riker's not, or Picard's not too enthusiastic. He says, what decision have you made? And he's like, I have made a decision. I'm going to go have a walk, a long walk. Riker's confused. As he goes off here, and then back on the planet, Lieutenant Chang gives the cadets the news, or the hope. They're not even cadets; they're hopefuls. Only one of you can go on to Starfleet Academy this year. And it's going to be Mordock. Sorry, Wesley. Oh. Congratulations, Mordock. You are the first Benzite in Starfleet.
That was the other consideration.
Yeah.
When he says it wasn't, when Wesley says something about his time or whatever, and he goes, it wasn't just that test. There was other considerations. They were like, we got to get our first Benzite in. It was the same. Well, I think they were like, let's get this Klingon in.
Well, yeah. You imagine like Worf maybe didn't do so great at these tests. It's hard to imagine. Like,
he was the only applicant from. Oh no, he was on Earth.
But only Klingon.
it's fine. No poor Wesley. He gets to go back to flying the flagship after this.
Right. Well, it's kind of true, right? It's like, why does he technically even have to go to Academy? But it's always
Yeah, but you could argue, Kevin, the other side is that poor viewers that we had to keep watching him for another season.
I like Wesley.
And then they finally wrote him out of the show. They did send him to Starfleet Academy, right? So, but
I don't mind Wesley either, honestly. But
I don't mind him either. Like, there are episodes where he's annoying, but he's written that way in those episodes. So
yeah,
I'll forgive it. Anyway, so they all congratulate Murdoch. Wish him well, and the lady here, she says, "You better watch out, Wesley. I'm going to come back next year and test again, and I'll be twice as hard to beat, or whatever."
Wait, she's really rocking that '80s makeup.
Oh
yeah.
She sure is. Anyway, so they go off, and then Picard is heading, I guess, to this dinner with the Admiral.
I like this uniform, by the way, Dave.
I like this one. I don't like that it has no rank, Pips, but that's my only complaint. And Kevin,
we know who the captain is.
Some people think this one is too dress-like. Maybe it is, but
Yeah, but this is the same season that the men were walking around in the actual uniforms that were dresses.
That were scams. Yeah. Well, Kevin wouldn't wear one, but the dress uniform.
I didn't say I wouldn't wear one. I just said I don't really like them.
Oh, okay. He'd wear it. Let's get Kevin in a dress uniform. Anyway, so Picard runs into young Kurland here, who's like, "Hey, Captain, thanks for saving my life, and sorry about all that. And Commander Riker is making me fix the shuttle or whatever as part of my disciplinary, his penance, I guess, for what he did." And then Picard gives him some advice. I'm trying to remember all the context here. He's like, "Hey, you had your wits about you out there. Remember that." He kind of gives him some encouragement. Picard has a couple dad moments here and then with Wesley in the next scene, that I think are reflect well on his character. Any other thoughts here on this exchange?
Nope.
No. Okay. We'll see you later, Kurland.
I think it's sort of not like Picard to be so fatherly.
It is a little unlike him. Yeah, it's usually a little hard for him to do the stuff, but he's able to. But he might be the new commandant of Starfleet Academy, so he's got to get used to talking to kids.
I don't know if it is necessarily unlike him. He does it all the time. He just doesn't like to. But you see him do this all the time with Wesley.
He's good at telling kids what to do. He just doesn't want to talk to them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Or whatever else here. So then Picard goes off to see Wesley looking in the boardroom here in the conference room. Why aren't you in your dress uniform? Did I pull that? I think I did.
The dress
uniform.
Why aren't you in your dress uniform?
Version of it?
Does he have a uniform?
We were debating whether this is a uniform that Wesley's wearing.
So this is a non-commissioned uniform.
We think it might be an acting ensign uniform. Definitely the one he wears in season 2 with the big shoulder yoke and the badge. That's definitely some form of uniform.
Right.
But this is, I think, what Ashley and I agree that this is supposed to be the same idea.
Well, he always wears the same thing, so you would imagine it is a uniform.
Yeah, of sorts.
Because he wasn't wearing this at the beginning, like in the first episode.
He had that brown sweater.
Yeah.
He doesn't wear this till
he
becomes an acting ensign, but
right, and it's got all of the division colors, like all of the stripes are the division colors. It just feels like this is supposed to be to show that he's an acting ensign.
I feel like this is a uniform made for one.
Maybe
made for one character.
Well, I don't think there's any other acting ensigns, is there?
He's the first and only one we know of. They got to make another one. They have to wear this shirt when they do. But I would love to know what the dress uniform version of this would look like. Would it just be a dress version, like a long?
Maybe
it'd be Joseph in his amazing Technicolor dream coat.
That would be good. Anyway, so Picard says, what's happening? Wesley's sad because he failed the test. Whatever. He let everyone down. He's like, ridiculous. You know, you did your best. You'll try again next year. Who cares? You know.
The only person you're truly competing against is yourself.
It's big golf.
And the other people.
And the other people.
Yeah.
True. Well, Picard's not quite right about that. But Picard tells Wesley, like, listen, man, I failed the first time. I took the test too.
You can never tell anybody.
And you can never tell anyone.
I failed the first time, but not the second time. And you may not tell anyone.
And you may not tell anyone. But not the second time. I passed the second time. That was my favorite part. When he... and then they go off to the dinner. At another time jump later, Picard saying goodbye to the Admiral. He's not going to Starfleet Academy with the Admiral. He'll take the job here. And the Admiral leaves. And Picard goes to the bridge and says, "Well, I guess you'll just have to stick around here, Wesley, and fly the flagship of the Federation for a while. Tough for you, huh?"
All smiles.
All smiles. And here they go off into the next mission.
Second star to the right.
Second star to the right. And that is it. Wow. Didn't expect us to take that long to get through it, but it was it was good. All right. Well, does anyone have fun facts ready?
I do. I have some here for you.
Fun facts with Adam.
I love it. This is great. Kevin?
Facts.
No, nothing from Kevin today. Okay. All right. Starting with this episode, Maurice Hurley took over the job of the showrunner from Gene Roddenberry. We knew this from a few weeks ago. Hurley was concerned about the show writing process that stalled under Roddenberry's leadership. So he personally paid for Roddenberry and Majel Barrett to have a vacation on the understanding he would take over while they were gone. Upon his eventual return, Roddenberry opted to leave Hurley in charge.
So it was Roddenberry's choice then? Ultimately?
Well, a few weeks ago, we got a sort of different impression, but maybe they let him down easy.
Yeah, they're like, you got a lot of work to do. Why don't you just go on vacations with Majel?
You seem stressed. You need to be
stressed. Come on.
Yeah. This is the first episode features Commander Riker sitting in the chair by lifting his leg over the back and straddling it.
Oh, and we saw it.
The unique wave eventually became a signature move for the character, coined the Riker maneuver by devoted fans.
It's that eye contact you have to maintain.
Yeah.
This is the first appearance of a shuttlecraft on Next Gen.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Tashanik is the first Vulcan with a speaking role in Next Gen.
She barely says anything.
Yeah.
But she's like, "Hello, I'm Tashanik." But yes. Okay, cool.
Room 101 might be a reference to George Orwell's 1984, where Room 101 was used for psychologically break the subjects by torturing them with their greatest fears. Probably that's true.
I would say very likely.
Yeah. Remick makes references to events in The Naked Now, Justice, and Where No Man Has Gone Before from 1966, and the battle in 1987.
Yeah. I have a detail to discover.
Okay, go ahead.
This episode aired on March 14th, 1988.
Oh, that was my fourth birthday.
Ashley's fourth birthday. Do you remember this birthday?
I mean, I was probably watching this episode.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Really? You're wow. That's pretty young to be watching that.
I don't remember ever not watching TNG.
And Big Brother is also in 1984. That's right.
Okay. The matte painting used to illustrate Starfleet Academy's testing facility is the same used for spaceports in many episodes of the series. Buck Rogers in the 25th Century from 1979. Another one of the examples is Zenita Spaceport from Planet of the Amazons, Amazon Women as well. So they've used this a lot.
Yeah.
Yep. Only a quarter of the shuttlecraft set was built for this episode. With the set expanded gradually according to the scene requirements in season 2. That's because that wheelchair 2 weeks ago cost so much money. They only could afford it.
So we're gonna build a quarter of a shuttle set for you. You know.
Due to construction errors with the full-scale model, it failed to match the miniature. A smaller shuttle pod with a new shuttle pod design was later used in the first appearing in Darmok.
Darmok's a long way after this.
Yeah, a very long way after this.
Wow.
Uh-oh. I'm having the same problems I had yesterday. They're going all over the place. Bear with me, guys.
Baron.
As you called it out, Robert Ito would later play Harry Kim's father, John Kim, and Arthur in 2001.
Harry Kim.
And everything else is kind of...
Well, is there anything about Remick, Remick and Quinn, whether the writers intended them to be infected with bugs at this point?
There isn't. I'm sure I could probably find that on another website, which I haven't gone to today. But Remick's conversation with Tasha Yar wasn't shown. It's assumed that happened before Riker's because Picard said that he's interviewed everybody. The title refers to a traditional transition between childhood and adulthood. In some societies, it's marked with a ritual that can be associated with either sexual maturity or adult responsibility, and is typically celebrated between 17, 18, or 21. I think that sort of went missing. They could have done so much more with that.
What? With what?
Like the coming of age. Like what was the coming of age?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. The title doesn't make any sense.
You're right.
Well, you know what? As I'm thinking about this, they could have done, like, to your point, they could have done like a disaster happened on the planet, on the starbase, and they all had to save each other, or they face something bigger than this. I don't know. It's a disappointing episode.
Well, I think the title was in reference to Wesley's journey through the episode. That he went in with this fear and he overcame that, and he was doing this whole test and the psychological evaluation and everything, and then he came out it on the other side with an understanding of how and why Picard would have made that choice that ended with him losing his father.
Oh, I think you're doing a lot of work for the writers there.
No, he literally talked about that in the episode. At the end, he literally said to Harry Kim's dad, I understand. Like, my dad had to that.
I understand now. Yeah,
I understand Picard's.
She's
decision.
Right. Yeah, it was the coming of age does make sense.
Wesley's growth, though, wasn't really the focus of the episode. Like, yeah.
Yeah, well, I agree with that too. That like, there's not enough focus on him in this episode. So, and this whole other, I don't think that the A plot and the B plot work well together in this episode. Like, they're kind of disjointed for me a little bit. So, any more fun facts, or should we rate this episode? I'm gonna rate this episode. So, let's get into it. Okay, what is this? What do you give an episode like this? I think like the stuff with Wesley is good mostly. I like the scene with Worf. I think the stuff with Quinn and Remick is a little boring for me, largely, kind of forgettable. So for me, I'm kind of mixed on it. So I'm gonna probably go same as last week and go 6.5. And just it's okay, but it's not my favorite. Okay.
Oh, we lost.
Well, on to you, Ashley.
7.5.
7.5 from Ashley. Kevin.
5.5.
5.5.
I know you guys all think that like those are really low ratings, but there's a whole bunch of numbers under 5, right?
Yes. I know.
5.5 is above average.
Well, right now you're averaging a 4.8 on this season, so it's
me. Oh my god, I must only be doing the ones I don't like.
You gave one episode a 3. No, that's Ashley.
That's me.
You've given out a 2, a 4, a 6, a 5, and a 5.5, but and a 1. Okay, so Adam, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm giving this a 6.
6. Okay. So we're averaging 6.4. You're the lowest. No, Kevin's the lowest rating at 5.5. Ashley's the highest at 7.5, and I'm kind of in the middle with you. So I'm hearing myself. Get your echo transmission on. You do. Okay. I am. It's Adam's. Hey, Adam. Okay, well, I'm just gonna take this down for a second. Okay, there we go. Okay, it seems to be gone now. Oh, see ya. All right. Well, he might be back. Let's
Some
see.
sort of conspiracy is happening.
What are Ted's ratings? Well, we'll have my dad back, soon, hopefully, for another review. I always like to try to bring him in for episodes that have that original series kind of vibe. I don't know if we have, but my dad also talks about that he really wants to come to the Best of Both Worlds review specifically because he always thinks that's the best ever. And I remember we did watch that like on TV, even though my dad didn't watch the show very much when it was on.
The finale of this season that we were talking about earlier is a TNG type. He would like that, I think, or the Casino Royale one, or what is it? Just the Royale.
The Royale. Is that's season 2, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bearded.
Yeah. Will he be there for? He might be down for conspiracy. I might be able to bring him in for that one, or even the Neutral Zone. He might like. I think too.
Yeah.
I could see him being interested in that with the cryogenic freezing and that Southern guy in that episode. Who likes martinis or whatever, and guitars. Anyway, so all of that to say, we'll close the book here on Coming of Age. Our next episode is called Heart of Glory. It's an episode where it's kind of a Worf episode, kind of the first Worf episode. Worf attempts to hijack the Klingons from a damaged freighter are rescued by the Enterprise. They befriend Worf and they attempt to hijack the Enterprise so they can live as true Klingons, forcing Worf to choose between them and Starfleet. So that's the one where they go, with the Klingon guys up at the sky. So get ready for all that. Right now, Davin is my only panelist. So
is that the Klingon pain stick one?
No.
That's
with John Tesh in season 2.
That's his Rite of Ascension or whatever.
That's the Rite of Ascension reliving, I guess.
First
Klingon episode technically of TNG, right? Like our Klingon main character being featured, certainly. So we're going to talk.
I'm available next Tuesday.
You're available?
Yeah.
All right. Let's put Adam on the list. We'll hit up the chat to see who else we can get.
I'm available next Tuesday too.
Okay, Ashley's in. Kevin?
We'll see.
All right. I didn't want to do.
I can't commit to anything right now.
Adam, Ashley, and Davin. Okay, yeah. Well, technically we're full. So, but you're one screen, so you can also share. So all good. Anyway, with all that said, check us out next week. Check out our Orville reviews every Monday night. Talk about now into season 2 of the Orville, led by the great Jody Simpson. And we just did our Star Trek Radio Theater Saturday night. Our most recent edition was Phantasms from Star Trek Next Generation's 7th season. Don't need me, Data. No. Go back and listen to that one. I think there's a Debate 9 coming up or something. I don't know when it's happening, but Davin keeps talking about it. I know that they're doing
a probe on Sunday.
A Class L probe on Sunday. Check that out in our science division under the blue banner with the Voyager ship. Of course, all of the great live log and podcasters kind of doing something all the time. And we got the new shows coming up. I believe Lower Decks. We're expecting that to be announced soon. Plus everything else we reviewed this year, like Discovery. What else did we talk about? Strange New Worlds, and there was at least one more. Anyway, so go back. What? Prodigy, of course, Prodigy. Go check it out. Anyway, with all that to say, we'll see you here next time on the channel. I think I got the perfect quote to leave us here tonight. Let's go with this one. Here.
It's a good thing you're cute, Wesley, or you could really be obnoxious.
You said I was cute.
Is that good, Wesley?
Yes.
I can fly.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. artistic interviews with graphic histories, a roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.